And today we're going to make sure that the children here are the last victims of Soft Friends Daycare.
My daughter has attended that daycare for over a year, and she's had many different teachers. This behavior was not specific to Amber. It was many teachers in the center. Amy, who runs the center, was complacent in that. She allowed this behavior to continue. And of course, as a parent, you're not going to expect your child to go through something like this. You send them to the daycare with a presumption of safety, and that was not met. This goes a lot deeper than just Amber. This goes a lot deeper than just reports being ignored, but an entirety of an entire daycare that had been allowing this behavior to happen for probably many years. Everybody knew about the incident that happened in 2021, and it continued to stay open, and right now it is only on a temporary close. This daycare has not been shut down permanently as of yet. So that's our goal. We don't want this daycare to reopen. We don't want children to be abused. My daughter is special needs, and she could not tell me that this was happening to her. So it's a mother's worst nightmare, especially when your child cannot communicate to you that they're being abused. And that's all I have to say.
I'm Ashley. I'm the one that posted the video on Facebook, which really I didn't want Taft to end up doing. I did call 911 first to try to get them to the daycare to meet me whenever I was picking my daughter up, just minutes after the video was sent to me. And the 911 told me that they was going to send the sheriff out. So when I got to the school, I picked my daughter up, and on my way out the door, the sheriff's department called me back and asked me what was going on, and I explained to him the video, and he told me it was a civil case and that there was nothing the sheriff's department could do about it. So they didn't even come to the center. I took my daughter home that night, and I called CPS and made a report to them after I asked my daughter a few questions about what happened in daycare. Then she told me about Ava being spit on and children being hit in the classroom. There was an incident around June 24th where my daughter had came home with a black eye, and I messaged the center and I asked them what happened, and all Amy told me was her teacher said that she had a good day at school that day and she played with her friend. So then I sent a message to Amy back and I said, well, did she fall down? Did she come to the daycare with it? Because I know she didn't. I sent her that day and I got no response from Amy. I didn't think anything of it. I thought maybe the teacher just didn't notice until all this started to come out. And honestly, I couldn't have even reached Ava's parents, which is my main goal for it, was to reach Ava's parents and all the other parents who wasn't aware of what was happening. So without everybody sharing it on social media, I don't think that we would be here today. And my end goal for the situation is I want Amy held just as accountable as Amber, and I think the daycare does need to be shut down.
That's perfect. And we want to make sure we hit everyone to make sure they're accountable for their actions. I know when Ava's guardian reached out to me, he met me the same day that he flew back in town once he heard the news. And it's important that we stand up against injustice because, and it's also important that we talked about earlier, if you see something, say something. Obviously, DHS has not done the right thing, and there's been tremendous oversight that's caused this problem. We had workers at the daycare that waited several months to report the abuse, even though they're mandatory reporters. So we're here just fighting, and we're not giving up. I don't know if Amy's probably would like to say something, but we appreciate everyone being here today. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Daryl. I'm Ava's guardian. I'm her grandfather. Like they said, I was actually out of town attending, of all things, a safety conference out of state when I found out about this, when the Facebook post was actually brought to my attention. And I ended up flying back. And it's just heartbreaking. You know, you send your children to someplace you think they're going to be safe and that they're going to be cared for and loved, just like you do when you have something like this comes out, and it's just devastating. And then the things that I heard when my child was being interviewed by the CPS investigator, and the things that she was saying were happening, and it's just unfathomable. And you know, this place needs to be shut down. We need to just care for the children. I mean, the state needs to step up, especially since it's obviously been an ongoing issue. This whole thing of the daycare saying that they didn't know until these videos were posted, I don't think that that's true at all. So, but that's what I gotta say about it.
No problem at all. And we're here to stand up against injustice, but at this time, if anyone has any questions, we can briefly take those.
Hey, just as a matter of fact, can you introduce yourself and everyone who's been speaking?
Sure. Michael Carey from Carey Law Office PLLC, and we'll let each person come up and introduce themselves.
Bethany Bird, Freya's mom.
I'm Ashley Schaefer, Adriana's mom.
I am Tiffany Myers. I'm Dax Paxton's mom, and I'm also a former employee that was fired for addressing the abuse.
And my name is Daryl Feaster, and I am Ava's grandfather and legal guardian.
And who is Ava with regards to the allegations that are here?
Ava's the one that was allegedly spit on, the one that you can hear in the audio tape.
Hi, I'm Amelia Nicely from West Virginia Watch. First, I just want to say my condolences to the parents and what you guys are going through. Maybe this is a question for you as a former employee, or Michael, you might know certain of you. Was any abuse reported to WCHS before this incident was posted on social media, or any calls made to CPS over the last few months or years?
So I had actually spoken with CPS in February of this year. I'm not only an employee, my son also has autism and was abused by Amber. When this was brought to me, I went to Amy Williams about it and was fired for it. It was basically, there was a video of one of the employees' kids talking about how several of the kids in the class were being hit, and Amy dismissed all of it. So when I spoke with CPS, nothing was done about it. When I was fired, I was threatened to be sued if I talked, if I said anything, if I said a word to parents, if I went to licensing, if I did anything, that I was going to be sued for all of it. So.
Any more questions? We're here to answer.
Just to clarify here, we have four separate families represented here with separate children who all of your children receive some type of abuse at that facility. Is that accurate?
That's 100% accurate. And we actually have 8 families that we're representing currently. A couple of families live out of state, and 1 or 2 could not be here today, but they are here showing their support. They've called several times. They want us to keep them updated on the status of the case. But again, the support that we've received from Facebook, from Instagram, about just continuing to fight, continuing to, if you hear something, please say something, because the more calls we get, the more evidence we can gather together to make sure this stops.
So you have, I know you said 8 families, but are you saying 8 individual children?
8 individual children.
From 8 families, right?
Unfortunately.
There were 16 kids in her class.
Is there a possibility that more could come forward, not just from this timeline, but even years before? You would look at possibly them joining as well, or?
I mean, we'd be happy for them to join. I know that our law firm had sued Cross Lanes for child abuse in 2021. And at that time, we thought we had justice, but we're coming to find out this is a systematic problem that has started from the top, based in negligence in turning the blind eye. You know, Amy Williams, the director, she's getting multiple reports from family, from other coworkers, and they also had a policy that said, if you keep your phone in the office, or you keep your phone outside the daycare room, we'll pay you more. And now we're starting to see why that was a policy.
So you sued the same exact facility in 2021?
Correct.
On similar allegations, is that
That's
right?
correct.
Of those 8 children that are in that classroom that you allege are abused, how many of those have special needs?
2. And we had, there's another individual, a minor child, that was spit on several times by Mrs. Amber over the course of several months. And one of the parents, that came out because one of the parents showed the minor child her photo of her in orange and said, "Do you remember this teacher?" And he was like, "Yes, this teacher was mean to me." And he asked what that child did, or the father asked what the teacher did, and she said, "She spit on me a lot."
And when you have these 8 families with 8 individual children, 2 of those special needs, you said 16 are in that class. We're talking these 8 children all in one class, all in Amber's class. Is that accurate?
All 16 children, correct?
And with regards to, is there anyone else at the, I know what you've said about Amy looking the other way on some stuff and things like that, but are there allegations against other workers abusing kids, or is it just Amber abusing kids?
To my knowledge right now, it's just Amber. I think you could make the argument that Mary, who failed to report it for several months, allowed the abuse to continue. However, there's only one person in jail, and I want to make sure that we let our prosecutor know, Deborah Rusnick, that she has done a great job, that she stepped up as our prosecutor, and put the individual behind bars where she belongs, And that was quick, right? And she was drop dead on it.
And I understand that there are a total of, in the criminal charges that were filed on Friday, I understand those represent 3 individual children, 2 females and 1 male, in those charges, 2 misdemeanors, those for children who do not have special needs, 1 felony for a child with special needs. Can I see just a raise of hands as to, is your child one of those 3 children? So 2 of the 3 are represented in those criminal charges. No criminal charges have been filed on behalf of your children as of yet.
As of yet.
Okay.
And I know that the prosecutor's office with Deborah Rusnick is meeting with the families to see if there's any additional charges that can be brought. Actually, one of our clients is not here today because they're meeting with the detective over that issue.
I understand. And Mr. Carey, I would ask this and I understand how these cases are in the sense that there's a lot of, for good reason, concern about the allegations and things, but set aside the specifics for just a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Just how serious are these allegations?
I've been practicing for almost 12 years. We've specialized in special needs abuse cases with the Kanawha County Board of Education. This is by far the worst allegation set of facts that I've seen so far. What is more demeaning than spitting on a minor child that's unable to take care of herself? What's more demeaning than spitting on another child, and who, without a doubt, the worst set of facts, and I promise you, we're going to get justice for each and every child and the parents involved here today.
You mentioned the 2021 lawsuit and incident there. What was the outcome of that, or what did you think the outcome was that came out?
It was a great outcome. The minor child and the parents were taken care of. It was a private settlement, and
was there any discipline levied on Crosslanes at that time?
well, see, at that time we thought the Department of Health and Human Resources were going to look into the facility, and apparently they've been cleared once again, and the abuses continue. But in addition to getting recovery for the minor children, we want to make sure that these children are the last victims of cross lanes. I know there was a protest earlier today at 8 a.m. this morning at the daycare. I know DHS has finally temporarily closed the facility, but that's only on a temporary basis. We want a final basis of the closure. But we're here today just to stand tall and move forward.
And looking at these allegations and things, how important is it that accountability be had in this matter?
Well, if you don't have accountability, there's no justice because the action is going to continue to happen. And it's somewhat accountability if there's a temporary closure. But I think it's only a temporary closure because the media attention, because of the Facebook comments. And that's why we're so appreciative of that, because without that, I think the daycare would still be open. So we're going to make sure there's accountability. And that's why I'm thankful to Deb Rusnick, who put the teacher in jail.
And and with that said too, I mean, do you have children yourself?
I do not.
And I think, and maybe one of you guys be able to speak to it, but perhaps you first. To the family setting at home who sends their child to daycare, you can say it so much better than I, but I assume this has got to be disturbing.
I couldn't imagine. I do have 2 nieces, and they are in daycare. Nia's 4 and Samara's 5. And I couldn't imagine, you know, the love that a parent has for their children, to drop them off to a place that they're paying $250 a week to drop their children off to a safe environment, and comes to find out that their children are victims of a heinous crime. I mean, there's nothing you could say. But we will fight, and we will win. That's guaranteed.
It definitely, as a parent, makes me leery of putting my child into another daycare. It does. And I do want to bring up, maybe this is the wrong place, that the people that own this daycare actually operate another daycare in the Beckley area. So I don't know if that place has been investigated or needs to be investigated, but that's something that should be looked into as well.
And again, it was your granddaughter, is that right?
Yes, my granddaughter.
And your granddaughter was I apologize because names are not included in the complaints. Your granddaughter is the subject of the felony special needs.
No, she's
that's your daughter who is the subject of the felony special needs case.
Yeah,
Okay,
correct.
I got you.
But Ava, he's the guardian over Ava, and she was the one spat on by the defendant in
I
this
understand.
case.
One of the misdemeanor cases.
Correct. Yes, correct. But this is just another major reason there needs to be oversight in our daycare community. I know that it's tough to get into a daycare, but at the same time, these situations can occur. These situations have to stop, and we're going to make sure that they do.
I just want to follow up on her question. So you believe in 2021 that however that suit ended, that DHHR then was going to follow up and investigate this daycare? That was how that was left?
That was correct.
And you don't believe that happened?
I mean, to my knowledge, I think it's pretty self-evident.
Was the same director still there in 2021?
Yes, she was.
Okay.
It was actually her niece that was.
Okay. And I know one of you said that mandatory reporters waited to file reports. Do you have a timeline for that, when you think they should have? Is it for this specific allegation or previous ones?
Well, I know the code states that you have to report as a mandatory reporter
Right.
within 24 hours.
Right. I just didn't know if there were other incidents you're referring, or this one specifically that has come out.
I think it was just one specific
Okay.
came out. Without that audio, we would have not. We
Right.
wouldn't have known.
But you had also called CPS this year. Okay, thank you.
Are you planning on trying to hold those mandatory reporters accountable who didn't speak up and report in that time frame?
Like we said earlier, without accountability, there is no justice, because it's going to happen again. So we're going to hold everyone that needs to be held accountable. That's not a question. But at this stage, we want to make sure that the families are taken care of, that they have proper daycare, that they have the facilities, and they know they can go to work and drop their kids off, and their kids be safe. You know. Any other questions?
When do you anticipate filing suit?
Actually, great question. We just filed suit. The first lawsuit was filed today. It's been assigned to Judge Jennifer Bailey in Kanawha County Circuit Court, and we have several other complaints that will be filed in the next coming week.
Any thought of like a class action as opposed to separate ones?
Well, with the class action, you have to have several instances where the facts are exactly the same.
Okay.
And in this case, it's abuse, but it's a separate type of abuse. One, there was an allegation where a student or a minor child had a black eye. Another minor child had a scar on his face. Mrs. Amber instructed another minor child to pull her pants down, pull her underwear down, so she could be whooped on her bottom in front of the entire class. Like, this is just, these allegations, these facts, go back to your question, are the most egregious I've seen in the practice of law. So although class action could be possible, we think it's better for individual claims to make sure each child receives their day in court.
Whose family does that lawsuit represent?
Mr. Feaster right now. And we filed his first because he was the first to reach out to my office, but the other lawsuits will be filed within the next week or two. They'll probably all be assigned to Jennifer Bailey because the facts are similar, not the same. So we'll probably have to end up filing a motion to consolidate.
When did he reach out?
It was, you were flying back in from Friday evening. He was flying back in from Texas. We met here at my office around 6:30 p.m.
Can I ask y'all just to speak a little bit more on just the outpouring of support that y'all experienced on social media from the people?
Yes.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
We're talking about the outgoing and incoming support that you're receiving from social media and all your friends and family.
Oh, absolutely. I've had, I think, close to 70,000 people view my video on social media. I've had tons of people message me, thanking me for posting the video, asking me if they can help in any way. Of course, I've had a few different people ask if I needed a reliable babysitter, which I'm not comfortable doing, of course. I don't have any future plans to put my child back in daycare right now. But if it wasn't for social media, of course, we wouldn't have been where we are now. And I agree, and I couldn't count on the sheriff's department because, like I said, they told me it was a civil case. So after I called the DHHR, I just felt like I had no other option. I know that everybody would have came together on social media. We got a lot of angry moms, a lot of angry dads, or grandparents that all came together, and that's why we're here.
When you say video, are you talking about the audio recording?
I'm talking, yes, the audio recording.
Was there any video? When you say video, sorry, I work for a TV station.
The audio.
There's no video of abuse occurring. It's all audio
Yes.
of what is described to be Amber spitting upon Ava. Is that right?
Correct. Mary, the former teacher for the center, had sent me that video probably about an hour and a half before I posted it on social media. The audio, video.
Any other questions? Any other questions?
Just gonna double check some names, spellings,
Sure.
or last names, if you don't mind.
No problem at all.
Bethany, how did you spell your last name?
B-I-O-E.
Ashley, how do you spell your last name?
Schaefer, Shaffer.
And Ashley, L-E-Y?
Yes.
And then,
Tiffany Myers, it's Tiffany-Myers.
thank you.
And as you can see today, all the families are here united to a commitment to make sure that